Welcome back to Dum-Dums and Dragons, where improvisers who've never roleplayed before journey into the world of Dungeons and Dragons. I am the Great Wizard Bukake, your host. The murder still hasn't been solved, and the night is close to ending. While Juniper and Reginald were at the new crime scene, Butthole spoke with Fallonmeyer Pinkblossom and realized he needed to start a magic school, while Quinny continued his romantic pursuit of Vinten Charlamagne while psychically interrogating Chompy. Can these heroes solve the murder before they end up in a war with Cormyr? Find out next on Dum-Dums and Dragons!
Quinny, you knock at Vinten Charlamagne's door, having had a brief pseudo-conversation with Chompy where you ascertained that something was up, but no clear signal or indication that Chompy was involved in anything. You weren't able to get any sort of clear answers from that. You have arrived at Vinten's door.
Knock, knock.
There's no response.
Is there a light on or anything like that? If I'm standing outside the house, do I see a light on?
Lights are on inside the house.
All right.
You know, curtains are drawn. The house is still pretty fucked up. There's been some sort of hasty boarding of windows and things.
Okay. I'll go for the latch of the door. Is it unlocked?
No, it's very much locked.
Oh. Well, yeah, I don't want to barge in on a murder lady. I'll knock a little harder.
You hear some sort of footsteps, some hustle and bustle from inside. And Vinten Charlamagne opens the door. She's wearing a sort of an, how to put this, like a James Bond villain bathrobe, where it's just kind of unnecessarily like dark purple, looks, you know, both plush and somehow menacing. She still looks fucking great, but is clearly putting on a show of I was in bed for this. And she opens the door and just kind of narrows her eyes and says, "Oh, it's you. I didn't realize you were coming by this evening anymore, given how many hours it's been. So I got comfortable and locked the door, assuming that no more ministers of culture would be coming to bother me today. You have some nerve, Mr. Brownbarrow."
I'm sorry. I keep some unusual hours with my work, and unfortunately couldn't get here any sooner.
Well, I mean, look, you did turn into a weird monster thing earlier, so I guess I can give you a little bit of slack. What I'm really disappointed by is that you didn't find and kill the person you went after quickly enough. You know, you think you know a guy, and then it turns out he's just not quite as quick with a dagger, which is quite a shame given the state that I was in when you left. And her eyes kind of like dart up and down you, but then also kind of like draw your eye line down to, you know, how the robe is very artfully and carefully placed.
Yeah.
But she is good at many things. She is not great at subtle I'm pretending to be mad.
So wait, she's...
Okay, I literally, my brain is exploding. I'm like, how much of this is real and how much of this is like humiliation?
Yeah, go ahead and roll an insight there, Quinny.
Yeah, Laura, roll an insight. Just as the human.
I don't know.
Insight?
I think so, unless you've got something else you would play.
No, it's just very funny because I know my insight modifier is 0, and I rolled a 10, so this is extremely middle of the road mystery for me.
Yep.
I'm really sorry. How could I make it up to you?
Did you kill the guy you went after?
That turned out to be a dead end.
In that you killed him? Or in that he escaped and you're bad at your job?
Is my killing this guy a condition of us carrying on tonight?
All I'm saying is, usually when I click my fingers and my armor falls apart, revealing a body I spend an awful lot of time on, I should add. I am training constantly for murder and mayhem. Normally, that yields a certain result for me. Instead, you said, "Gotta go, I've got a gift or something to unwrap later," and then you, like, fucked off into the night, saying, I got to go kill someone. So apparently that was more important than this. So I'm just curious whether it was worth me sitting around bored and naked for several hours or not. Also, you look well rested. Did you have a fucking nap?
That's such a funny thing to. It's such a funny observation.
Like, you look
You
like
look
shit
well
last
rested,
time.
you snake.
You looked like absolute shit last time we spoke. Did you stop and have a nap?
I wanted to bring my A game. Yeah.
All right, go ahead and roll me a deception check, I think, because honestly, you just wanted your spell slots back.
Absolutely. I wanted to make sure I was safe going into a goddamn fuck fight with a psychotic warlock. So yeah, I took a beat. I took a knee for a second. What are we rolling again? I'm sorry. Did you say deception?
Deception, yeah.
Okay. It's a lot. Christ. It's a 32 deception.
She raises an eyebrow, and the like angry smile breaks slightly to a flirtier smile. Says, "Okay, that I can forgive. I'm not particularly fond of BRC games at all, really. So,
But she loves a D game.
Jesus Christ. Somebody get that
Statler
horny jail
Waldorf
ghost out of
over
here.
So she kind of looks past you and says, "What's Chompy gnawing on?"
I brought him a snack, like the last time I visited. Well, not the last time, but the last nice time I visited.
I mean, the last time was kind of nice too. It was fun getting to murder those guys. Well, that's nice. You know, he's been having a real stressful time of, and like just for a hot second, the briefest hint of bashful. It's like of all of this. I think he's quite fond of you, and seems to be concerned that your death would mean something to me, you know, would be bad or some such. So it's nice that you've brought him a treat. He was very worried about you.
Oh well,
earlier.
you know, I've grown fond of him too, and you know, I brought you a treat as well, and I produced the bottle of wine.
And she looks at it
Throw
and
off
like,
her clothes.
yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
like slightly
I brought you a treat
disappointed.
as well.
She's
I take
like,
my fucking cock out.
oh,
He
so
just yells precision and his clothes rip off.
Yeah.
His fucking dick out in a harness.
Yeah.
so you brought me another bottle of wine. Great. Well, that's a start. Although you did promise me a wrapped present of some sort, which I sincerely hope is something slightly kinkier than a bottle of wine.
Yep, it is. Do you want to go inside?
She smiles and says, "I thought you'd never ask." And then she just grabs you by the scruff of your neck, as we've established as the way with Quinny, pulls you into a deep kiss, and kicks the door shut behind us, which is where we stay, you fucking animals. Yeah, we have to stay outside with Chompy. But
Just a
Quinny...
yelp of, "Ugh," and then he's up. Yeah.
Yep. And as the
Prison ghost
camera...
going, woo!
Yeah, so the camera artfully fades to black. You just hear a sort of a jingle.
Yeah, we hear
of,
the thunk of Quinny's hog hitting the floor. Am I right?
You're a jingle of clasps and buckles. And she says, "Oh, good. This one's compatible with mine." And we fade to black. Juniper and Reginald, you are still at the crime scene. Quinny is going into danger.
He's going fucking apeshit.
He was just going to get fade to black and then in another scene describe just the most graphic shit.
Cut to us at the crime scene. And we are fucking.
Yeah, this better be our Valentine's Day episode, you know? Just really hitting on the theme. We cut back to the crime scene, and Reginald and Juniper, you have determined that this is a frame-up. You have a theory that this might be Damara aiming to cause a war. But that's kind of where we left you. You know that Quinny has received both of Reginald's notes, smart Reginald's notes, my apologies. So you've kind of passed along information that way, but I'm curious what your next move is, if any. You can also just retire to the castle. Obviously, we're reaching the end of the big crazy day everyone has just had. So if there isn't anything else that the two of you would do, that's fine as well. I just didn't want to leave you in the lurch because I dramatically cut away from you 2 episodes ago, or an episode and a half ago.
Reginald's final thought would be, if we know that this wasn't like a wyvern that had flown in and done this, is there a way to find any tracks of whoever did this on their exit to see which way they headed?
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, you might need some kind of investigation skill, but I don't think you have anything remotely close to that.
I don't think he's up to it.
Yep.
Well, there is investigation. Yes. The other thing that is worth flagging, Tom, as a random fact, but as a blood hunter, Reginald has advantage on wisdom survival checks to track fae, fiends, or undead. So I don't know how that would affect this die roll.
That is good to know. Unfortunately, it will not help you here. That said, Juniper, I think Sheriff Moss particularly, spent a lot of time tracking people. So you can roll with advantage as
Sheriff
Moss
is in the Wild West. Sheriff Moss can track the sand.
It's like, there it is.
Track the tumbleweeds.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's over there.
Oh, there's more there.
28.
Sand everywhere. Okay, so yes, you are able to find some tracks, and it's difficult because there was obviously a lot of chaos during this. So there's unfortunately kind of footfalls everywhere, but you are able to find some tracks that lead away. Unfortunately, you do lose the trail because this all kind of happened a while ago. Whoever did this is very clearly gone, but the tracks do lead away from Asgard. It's not anyone who returned back into town. They clearly fucked off afterwards.
And are these boot tracks, Tom? Are these different kind of feet? Okay, so they're boots. Great. Reginald to be looking and be like, all right, we got to get our measurements here. We're going to have to cast those boots. And he's measuring the distance between to be like, depending on the stride, we could tell how far the gait is of this here killer. And we could also tell with how much they sunk. Then he steps into the ground next to him. And he says, we can check the depression compared to my depression into the similar ground. Knowing how much I weigh in this environment, we might be able to calculate how heavy this killer done be.
Also, they're leading away from Asgard. How far do they go? Juniper wants to kind of roll over and just see, do they continue? Are they just going on and on and on and on?
No, at some point there are, wagon wheels and you lose the track. Unfortunately, with the desert climate, at some point there's rocks and other things, you kind of lose the track.
Okay.
You could conceivably follow the track for days and days and days and try and pick it up again over and over and over, but it's not like if you just squint real hard, you can just see little dots on the horizon running real fast with a little puff of smoke behind them. They clearly arrived from somewhere. You're not sure where they arrived from, and then clearly left in a hurry.
All right, Reginald, let's compare.
He does those comparisons, Tom.
Okay, so Reginald, you're trying to ascertain basically the size and shape of these.
Yeah, how long is their stride? Because then we can estimate height and how much did they weigh? Because you can figure those out based on the boots.
Yeah, I mean, it's a variety of shapes and sizes. They're nothing monstrous is I think maybe the key piece here, which is these are all humanoid, medium-sized creatures, which unfortunately really doesn't narrow things down for you much at all. There is a wide variety, so it's,
Not a single killer would be the assumption.
No, definitely not a single killer. There's enough boots and the fact that there's wagon tracks, definitely several killers. I should also note where the trail kind of gets muddy is when it hits a road. So once there's a road, it's like, all right. And the roads, of course, lead to any variety of places. But no, Reginald, you'd say from the amount of boot prints and stuff, it's probably 10 killers. Of a variety of shapes and sizes, which tracks with how effectively all of the people got ambushed. Like, they needed to make sure this went real hard. So, that's kind of what you're able to ascertain from
He
this.
would relay that to Juniper and say, "This does support our hypothesis that we have put together. I do believe we may have exhausted what we could find up in this here place. Perhaps we should return to the palace to inform the king and hope Quinny arrives with some different information from his cavernous exploration to tell us tales in the morning."
Cavern? Where's he gone?
And as Reginald slings his arm around the back of Juniper's chair, the two of you make your way back to Asgard as Reginald explains the mysteries of the world, which Juniper you quickly catch on to, but can't stop him. He monologues all
Right.
the way home.
Good
When
for
a
him,
man
you know?
loves a woman, or
Right.
a woman loves a man, or a man doesn't love a
then-
woman,
and
or a
then
man does love a man,
and
or
Juniper's
a
just like, "Oh, right.
non-binary person
I cast
sexually
death ward on
engages
him
in
for
Congress
a
with
reason."
another.
Oh, no.
Sorry?
What?
What were you saying?
No, I just remembered the whole reason I literally cast death ward on him. I don't know.
Yeah, he's fucking.
I know, but like, what kind is it?
I hope it's not death
What
fucking, otherwise he can
kind?
only do it once. Wait, how many kinds of fucking do you know, Bob? I'm a smart man, but I'm not a wise man. Teach me your ways.
I mean, I was traveling for quite a while before I met you. Okay, let's wander.
I'm going to give you each a point of inspiration for sharing tales of your exploits and teaching Reginald about the pleasures of a world that isn't all grimdark nightmare monsters of war. And Reginald, for you, getting to let Juniper open up a bit just about her life before adventuring with everyone. Juniper has been such a mission-based character since day one. There hasn't been a lot of downtime where Juniper's just got to like talk about her life outside of the scroll and everything else. So it's I think you've secretly done her a solid as well, particularly since she's kind of reconciled the merged Moss identity. It's kind of nice to dip back into her life on the road. And with that, the two of you share some stories as you return to Asgard. After an incredibly eventful day, a Jack Bauer eventful day, the sun rises over a new day in Asgard. Outside the city walls, several siege machines have been built, and the purple dragons have withdrawn from the city entirely, sending a very clear signal as to how they feel about the current situation and perhaps how they feel about Butthole's particular form of diplomacy. The city is recovering from the revels, and it's an odd state for Akka, for the folks who've lived in Akka previous to Asgard. It's an exposed state. Everyone being kind of tired and happy, and some folks are hungover, some folks are just dance too hard. It's a weird way to wake up without like patrol. Like there isn't an army standing anymore. Like it's a very different day in Asgard, and as a result, there's a bit of confusion in the streets. It's not a bad thing, but there's a joke in certain parts of Canada that like the first day it snows in some of like the warmer parts of Canada, like out on the west coast, it's like if it snows in Vancouver, it's like everyone's just like, what do? And like Toronto, it's rain. If it rains, everyone's like, what the fuck, how am I supposed to drive? And it's a bit of that vibe where just everyone's kind of a little uncertain about how to be in this new city state. That said, there are, probably realistically the first time in its history, there's laughter on the air that isn't like malicious or about some conquest. People are swapping stories about the night before, sharing their paint night pictures, all sorts of different sort of light and amusing things going on throughout the city. Meanwhile, in the castle, most of you awake to a diplomatic brouhaha, of course, of dealing with the fallout of a dead ambassador, which has been hushed up so far. I guess, Butthole, you would have had to have everyone assigned to new quarters, or are you just quarantining off Long and on Geese's quarters and just pretending there isn't a body in there so everyone can just go back to them. Yep, that one, great.
Correct.
Great. So just he's Long and on Geese just sleeping it off. So that's all fine. Butthole, Reginald, who's just back to normal Reggie now, I believe, having taken a long rest, and Juniper, you all awake within the castle. Butthole, do you think you would have set up standing orders for Annan, or well, it probably wouldn't be Patty, but for Annan to just like show up and read you the news of the day or anything, or what does ruling from the Black Castle look like to you?
I mean, yeah, definitely, because you need to know like what happened overnight, if there was anything while he was out, and Annan as the hand / replacement / first citizen kind of role. It's a traditional thing that they would both, I think, be comfortable with, especially knowing Annan would be the one he leaves in charge if he leaves town.
Right. So Annan then kind of knocks on your door and enters, I think, without kind of waiting for a response. Butthole, how do you think you slept last night? I can also make you roll for it, but...
He's an old campaigner, so this is... He doesn't dream, which he hates because he's still fucked up and depressed and he doesn't know what any of that means. But stress does not keep him awake.
Mm-hmm.
It can affect the sleep itself, but he's the guy, he's had to do enough battles over all the years that it's like, well, get the sleep while you can because we have to swing a hammer in the morning. There's no point in being tired and then having to swing the hammer. So he's up, he's busting a little bit. He's got, a hot drink. He's there with Goblin Jr. He'd be in armor by now. If the sun's coming up, he'd be up by then every day anyways.
Great. Okay. So she enters and you're already kind of about it, which she sort of expects. And she says, good morning, sire. It's going to take some getting
it's weird.
used to.
I hear you.
Yeah, very strange, but well earned, to be honest. A lot of people end up wearing a crown for a lot less, so I'm glad to. But we've talked about this before. It's fine. We'll talk about it in the sequel book when we eventually get there.
Yeah, we'll really explore these beats. Right now, I'm just like, we're not at war today yet. Fingers crossed. Let's stick with that. That's going to be our barometer for success in the next little while.
Yes, I think that's fair, and it is an upgrade from living in a fur trader's cabin, hoping not to get murdered by zombies. So again, like, we're failing forward, my liege. So
amen.
With that, let's get to the news of the day. So based on the reports from Patricia Two Eyes, it would seem that the revels were very well received. A lot of our sort of friendly faces in the field reported back. Bucky said that everyone left a tremendous amount of trash around, which he was inexplicably excited about. He has cleaned it all. The streets are relatively pristine. I don't know. It's great. He is a gem.
Yeah, he seems useful. I mean, we're going to have to force him to take a vacation eventually, or he's going to burn out.
Absolutely, yes. But I fear that day, to be honest. We still have the generals under watch. Vital Statistics has been keeping an eye on them over in the Colosseum. We will need to deal with that at some point or another. That said, the tone of Asgard has changed so drastically that I suspect it'll be a much different conversation now than it would have been as the early kind of despot of a Ka. So that's a win. We have received reports from Reginald and Juniper about the massacre of Long and on Geese's entourage outside the city gates, which, again, I assume you read last night, so this isn't like news to you, Butthole. She's just... I think it's safe to say that everyone who was in the castle could have caught each other up roughly on stuff.
Great.
So she says, we still have some of our hammerers keeping an eye on the site. No one has returned as of yet. And unfortunately, based on speaking to the sort of local experts on geography, the roads that the tracks connected to could lead, honestly, almost anywhere at this point.
Yeah, it's just a road into the wilderness, so bummer.
Yeah, so unfortunately, a bit of a dead end there. That said, by all accounts, the word has not gotten out about Long and on Geese or the entourage, since no one knew it was there. No one has noticed that it is now dead. So, again, small wins. There is an interesting report from the guards on the diplomatic floor, it would seem that everyone who we expected to check in did eventually check into their respective rooms. As expected, Oversword Everhart has left the city along with the rest of the Purple Dragons. As you know, they are currently raising rather scary siege weapons outside the city. That said, from our scouts' reports, they aren't prepped to use them. They are, I believe, simply making a show of intent. However, they could be ready to level the city at a moment's notice. So, not great, but at least they don't have their finger on the button, as it were. They have their finger very close to the button, and the button is there and ready, but they are not.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they've had the ability to roll over the city at any time, so this is just standard. She kind of made some threats. I pointed out that we shouldn't be underestimated. It's a weird thing where, like, we're kind of the little guy in a lot of these fights, so I have to keep people off balance as opposed to just being able to be friendly, mainly because everyone in this area is a horrific tyrant who are used to violence and fear, so I'm forced to use a little bit of fear. I think we're okay based on how the conversation went right now, and this is kind of net neutral, I think, for our overall experience, so we'll keep an eye on it.
I served a lot of assholes at the Oasis, and I have to tell you, if she isn't actively leveling the city, I think you're okay.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, too.
Yeah. But nevertheless, it is worth noting. That said, the presence of the Lord's Alliance does really impact things. I've certainly heard rumors here and there about how disruptive that is. They are, being from the East Coast, a bit of an outlier group here, so that's certainly having an effect. That said, the important news for you this morning is that one ambassador did not check into their room last night. Raish Gray from Baldur's Gate did not check in after the revels. We have people out in the streets looking for them, and unfortunately haven't been able to find Quinny to have him look into it as Minister of Culture. That said, I understand he's conducting his own form of diplomacy, which may actually prove better results. Also, we're getting more reports of prison ghosts. I think an exorcism might be in order. There also seem to be like stan ghosts who seem to really like when characters get together who yell woo in the distance. So we should really
Yeah,
look
I mean,
into
a lot of
those things.
people have been murdered here. So, like, the sheer ghost count, like, if we're going to try to exercise
Yeah,
this
and ghosts
nation,
could be
it's gonna
fans
be
of
rough.
good ships too, so it's fine. In any case, I thought the absence of the representative from Baldur's Gate was perhaps the most.
You're 100% correct. Yes, we
pressing
need to
piece.
find that person right now. And then something to generally be looked into is there some way for me to get a direct magical line of communication to Queen Del Casio of Damara, or do I just have to send letters? Because it'll be approached very differently if I can do A or B.
We don't have any means of doing that I'm aware of. I believe if the enthusiastic child can get our portal working, then that might give us some capability. But no, right now it would be sending messengers. That said, we do have a number of people we can send who are trustworthy. So if you want to send an envoy rather than a letter, we can certainly see to that.
Considering how many people were recently murdered in relation to Damara, I'm not really interested in volunteering a body. But we can send a formal message, and it's one I can make publicly. It's a message that we can send along that I will also have read aloud in front of all of the other ambassadors once we find Raish Gray. I'm not losing a second one before I do this. I have a clever idea that I think will save us from going to war with Damara, which would be great. Because we now live in a world of moral corruption and having to rule kingdoms. Our fallback is we've also got Vissaw who don't like Damara, so we kind of have a bulwark there.
So she holds up the checklist with a quill and says, so should I mark war with Damara as a question mark for now? I can't quite cross it out yet, but
It's really going to be up to them. I think I've got a way that everybody
Question
can
mark
save
it
face,
is.
and we can make this work. But yeah, question mark. Reginald sent me a request overnight. I think he made a good point, which is we're trying to rebuild this country, and we're trying to do a small elite military force. And right now we took the lumberjacks and are trying to turn them into the small elite military force instead of taking the best military veterans. I'm thinking we're going to send the lumberjacks to go work construction, and we'll let Vismith and Reginald pick out the not psychos in the army, and those can be the hammerers. Seems smarter to me. Does that make sense to you?
yes, I have learned to trust your outside the box thinking. And so if You wanted the people who can swing axes to become hammer-swinging soldiers? Probably fine. I didn't expect the fart goblin to become such a key piece of our operation, but, here we are. So, no, if you want to swap it the other way, A+, would have done it that way myself.
Great. In future, if I have an idea like that doesn't really math out, feel free to speak up. You're very smart, and I'm running a kingdom now, and I am familiar with a lot of this, and then also not a lot of it. I was worried we couldn't trust the military, but it seems like Vismith is legitimately excellent at what she does.
I hesitate to say this, but I believe that may be Reginald's effects. He is proving to be incredibly good at sussing out who is and isn't trustworthy. I suppose if you live in a world where everyone is going to stab you in the back, you do become a rather quick judge of character, and he has been doing wonderful things both to inspire the army and to bring it to heel. So I'm all for it if you think it's the right course of action.
Okay, so we don't have Raish Grey, and that's our biggest problem. Quinny's not here yet, but the sun is up. We need to get Quinny here.
Yes, I'm happy to send word, although I suspect, knowing Quinny, he will be arriving shortly. We probably just need to see a scene where he wakes up with someone first, and then he'll probably be here rather quickly. There is also my liege. There we go. The matter of the Council of Wizards you wanted me to summon.
Okay, let's combo this. I'll go to the council chamber. We get Juniper at the council chamber. I don't need the full council for this because that's just going to get needlessly politically complicated.
She writes down no bagels.
No, we don't need those. But we'll go down there. We'll wait for Quinny to arrive, and then I will talk to the Council of Wizards after we talk to Quinny. That's the kind of thing where I'm not going to interrupt that conversation, but it is a lesser priority than figuring out where the hell this ambassador is, because that's a different war, and I don't want it. If there's somebody we want to talk to about Raish Grey not being present, let's stick with the people running that group. There's Agent Culkin, and then there is Sildar. Sildar might know if Raish Grey likes to get drunk and fuck off into the wilderness, or Agent Culkin might have an idea if Raish has any weird habits. So we can bounce it off of them. We'll wait for Quinny, then talk to Wizards. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, I will go find Sildar and have him sent up to speak to you.
Wonderful. And then just, if I'm doing anything stupid, point it out. We don't need another war lumberjack situation. It was a very bad call.
Butthole, I married Yevgenovich. I don't know that I'm necessarily the best judge of a bad idea, but I will try and keep my eyes out.
Yeah, I mean, that may have been a bad decision for you, but it was the best decision he would ever make. So it turns out even the people that you may not think are the best call have really good judges of character. Oh shit, Yevgenovich is your Reginald.
Yeah. And she just kind of smiles. She says, yeah, he is. And for the record, it wasn't the biggest mistake I ever made. That she just kind of gets a little shuffly and turns to leave.
And while Butthole, having murdered his parents, is left alone in his room, he's like, am I the biggest mistake?
God.
No. Go ahead and do a snap prayer there, my guy.
Oh, no, it's not me. I'm good. Dude, I'm at worst the second worst mistake.
Yeah, you look over.
Something worse than me.
You go to do a snap prayer. You look over, and Goblin Jr. is just giving you the hardest stare in his role as emotional support wolf. And once you kind of, do your snap prayer and realize you're not the problem, he just gives you a nod, and then he farts.
I fart back at him.
Yeah, this is why you guys work. Juniper, is there anything you would want to do? You wake up feeling well rested. There's obviously a lot of questions, but you and Reginald actually got some pretty solid results last night. And I think, again, we don't talk about this too much these days, but given how much of your early adventures were just kind of chasing random things that would appear on your scroll for a mystery that was far larger than any one mortal creature could possibly tackle, being able to just really get into a mystery and build theories and things, I think has been very refreshing for you, and certainly builds your confidence for eventually finding the residents of Tomb Slab, as you've received some leads about kind of where they are through space and time. Is there anything you would do this morning before you go to meet Butthole?
Yeah, Juniper has been distracted by so much that's going on that she meant to drop off the shards of her sword at the forge as soon as it was back up and running. So, that's going now, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah. You can, it sounds like you need an enthusiastic helper to deliver those, and almost without, without thinking of it, there's a rapid fire knock on your door as Bucky appears, ready to deliver some sword. Unless you want to do this yourself.
oh no,
Right.
I don't need to. It just needs to get done. This
Yeah.
is something this is damages. Damages has been broken for so long.
All right. So
That's not how Juniper thinks. That's Laura's.
Laura.
high
Yeah,
pitch.
yeah.
Right.
We almost made Laura roll a dice earlier. We understand your role in the greater meta. Tyler, Bucky shows up at the door, having heard that Juniper might need something.
Yep. Hyperactive knocking.
Yeah. Oh, come on in.
And door swings open, and there's Bucky. Good morning, Sheriff Juniper. How are you?
I'm actually pretty great this morning, despite everything. How are you doing, Bucky?
Me too. That's fantastic. Is there anything I can do for you? I heard there might be something you need.
Yeah. And remembering that Mrs. Paisley told Juniper to take time for herself, Juniper just kind of like sees Bucky's enthusiasm at very early in the morning and is just like, I think she mistakes it for him like being well rested. Have you been taking time for yourself?
What do you mean?
I don't know. You have so much energy today. I mean, you always have a lot of energy.
Oh, yes. I recently learned about siestas.
Siesta? Wait, what's a siesta?
It's when you take a nap.
Yeah, naps are great.
Yeah. So I've been doing that lately now. Well, since last night, basically.
Since you mean you slept last night?
Yeah, a little bit. I spoke to Mr. Reginald about it, and he described to me siestas, which is like you take a nap in the middle of the day. So I took a nap during the nighttime part of the middle of my day.
But hang on, sorry. We'll get to what I need you to do, but
Okay.
So were you not sleeping before?
I was some of the time.
What do you mean some of the time?
Well, I get so many things that I want to do for everyone that I often break my day up into 2 days. So I'll get up and I'll have breakfast and I'll do a bunch of chores and run a bunch of errands, and then I'll go to sleep and then get up and have breakfast, and then...
How long do you sleep for?
Oh, I don't know. I've never bothered to count while I'm sleeping.
But you just wake up when you feel
I just wake up when I'm ready to do more work.
I mean, I can't really argue with that as long as you're getting enough sleep. Like,
Are we arguing? Oh, dear.
No. We're not arguing. That's the thing. I was about to kind of come down on you for doing too much work, but you seem like you have a lot of energy. Are you okay with how your days are? Just in general?
Yeah. I like helping people.
Would you call yourself a generally content person?
I usually call myself Bucky, but generally content. I guess so. That seems awfully vague.
Well, how would you describe it?
I probably call myself intensely content.
Bucky, you are fantastic. Thank you. Sorry, I don't mean to keep you. Okay.
I brought you a Danish.
Oh my gosh. This is wonderful. Juniper kind of like feels around for something to give Bucky in return rather than just like broken shards of a sword, and is like,
What are you looking for?
do you like reading?
Uh-huh.
Here, have this. And she just awkwardly hands over a library card to the Handor library. It's like, here, if you're ever in Handor, here, read some books.
This is for me?
Sure.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Learn about the world, you know?
Okay. When do you want me
Okay.
to get back to you on that?
You don't have to get back to me. It's just for you.
Oh, you want me to learn about the world for me?
Do you want to learn about the world?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it.
All right. Well, this is for you if you think about it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't have anything else to give you. You're just like so darn nice all the time. I just wanted to give you something in return.
Oh, you don't have to give me anything. I like doing nice things for everyone.
I know, but you still deserve to have nice things done to you, for you, too.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much.
Okay. I gotta go, but, would you mind taking these to the forge and have my sword reforged? And
Oh, absolutely.
she hands over a bundle that contains the
Aragorn
broken
bundle?
shards of damages. Yeah.
Burlap sack with broken sword.
Yeah,
laid
basically,
out artfully.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bucky holds it in both his arms and he says, right away, Miss Juniper.
Okay. Thank you. Oh, geez. Does it cost anything? If they ask for money, I honestly don't even know how it works at the forge right now. Can you just charge it back to the Chief Justice and just tell them to, I don't know, send a bill here or something if they ask for payment? Just say it's for the Chief Justice.
I'll let them know that it's for the Chief Justice, and if they have a fee that they charge, I'll work it off for them. And he turns around and runs down the hall.
But Bucky,
Yeah?
Bucky, you're not working it off. I'll work it off. You just tell them to come to me.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later. Oh gosh. Okay.
Reginald, you have also awoken. How
Give
bad
away
is
my
the
library card.
how bad is the headache coming off of being smart, Reginald?
Oh, it's great. Being stupid feels wonderful. So, I mean, for me, it's about as good as it gets. I had to let it go while I was asleep. I wake up and I'm like, everything's simpler. Okay, good.
Great. Is there anything
And then
Reginald
he
would wanna
spends a half hour undoing a collection of traps he has spread throughout the bedroom because he still does that every night.
Mm-hmm.
He stretches the kinks out of his armor, which he sleeps in because he's not getting stabbed in bed outside of his armor like an idiot. He has to oil it every morning, otherwise it really will cause damage. All right, I guess it's time for me to go out there and run a peacekeeping force that is made up entirely of heroes because it's poorly designed.
Excellent. So the three of you convene in the audience chamber, and the only person you're still waiting for is, of course, your beloved Minister of Culture, wink, wink, definitely not Spy Master Quinny, who is woken up in a very different place and is having a very different morning.
This episode of Dum-Dums and Dragons features the voices of Ryan LaPlante at the Ryan LaPlante on Twitter, Tyler Hewitt at Tyler_Hewitt on Twitter, Laura Hamstra at EL Hamstring on Twitter, and our DM Tom McGee at McGeeTD on Twitter. This episode's sound was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and Dum-Dums and Dragons artwork is by Del Borovic, who can be found at delborovic.com. Our theme songs are And Now for That Massive Coronary and Skipping Through the Orchestra Pit Part 1 by Peter Gresser, and our ad music is No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR, all available at freemusicarchive.org. When it comes to Dum-Dums and Dice, you can visit our website at dumdumdice.com. Our Twitter and Instagram are at dumdumdice, and on Facebook at facebook.com/dumdumdice. But most importantly, we've got merchandise at redbubble.com/people/dumdumdice, or you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/dumdumdice. That's DUMBDUMBDICE. And tune in next week for more Dum-Dums and Dragons. Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christopher Little, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, Schrodinger's Pepper, Guy Edwards, Madre de Gatos, Lady Maiden, Garbo Ape, Locke, Sam Schaefer, Waffle Marine, Dagger Rain, Rob L, Dia De Los Hoodless, Squishy Werewolf, Remy Funky Head, Nomad, the Wise Paladin of the Badlands, Accent Therapeutic Services in Florence, Kentucky, Lael, Shulzari, Gus Schreider, The Long Family, Jordan Oliver, Richard Wright, Brittany Fenwick, Alex Parr, Old Man Mojo, Dragonfly, The Body Barrelers, Megan Werner, A Man Out of Time,
Curtis at fingertechrobotics.com.
And Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumbdumbdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.